What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 15 BT Chapter 401 Not enough power to restart. Seeing the strange behavior of the boy in front of them, Rukia Kuchiki and Kurosaki Ichigo did not dare to move. They still don't know what the other party is, whether it is an enemy or a friend, and how to act. Only Namikaze Kirito found a chair and sat down. It was pointless for him to hide now. The world order has come to your face. Although I don't know how it is so simple and current, it is definitely written that the world order of the two previous worlds is different. His behavior is even more strange. After the boy stood there and muttered to himself for a while, he looked at Kurosaki Ichigo. Why are you wary of me? Why? Because you suddenly appeared, and then. Speaking of this, Kurosaki Ichigo was also a little confused. He didn't know why he was vigilant. All he knew was that he seemed to be in a deep sleep just now. When he woke up, this strange young man suddenly appeared in front of him. The companions at the side obviously attacked him, but now there is still a moonlight-like icicle in front of the door. I am your creator, you shouldn't be so wary of me. Sure enough, is it because of life? 29. What nonsense are you talking about? What does it mean to have life? Kurosaki Ichigo became more and more confused. At this moment, he only felt that the boy in front of him seemed to be crazy. While the two were talking, no one saw that Rukia Kuchiki's skeleton was emitting a red shimmer. Only Namikaze Kirito, who was sitting beside, noticed. This must be the method of Urahara Kazuki. This guy likes to play with human bodies, but he didn't expect that he can play with Rukia Kuchiki's body alone. The wool is only gathered on one sheep, which is somewhat excessive. Urahara store. At this time, Urahara Kazuki, Yoruichi, and Tessai Tsukabishi were all watching a TV, and the picture on it was the picture on the rooftop. Who is this guy? The moment Urahara Kazuki saw the boy appear, the hairs all over his body stood up. He has a wonderful intuition. The young man in front of him is definitely an incredible existence. What the other party said also confirmed this guess. Unlike Kurosaki Ichigo, Urahara Kazuki is a person who pays attention to details, and every word that the boy said is pondering over and over again in his mind. Creator, with life? Just this one sentence can make people vigilant. Who created Kurosaki Ichigo? Advertisement, and now he finds out that Kurosaki Ichigo is alive. Is this some kind of fantasy? Even the super intelligent Urahara Kazuki feels like his head is about to explode. Different from what he cared about, Yoruichi looked into the monitor, the red-haired figure sitting on the bench. At this time, the attention of the two people around was also on the monitor, so no one noticed. Yoruichi looked at Namikaze Kirito, blushed. What the hell is this boy? The detector can't feel his breath at all, and he doesn't even have life. Tessai Tsukabishi thought there was something wrong with his monitor, but looking at Kurosaki Ichigo and others, the aura was clearly displayed. On the roof, the boy with white hair and white eyes was still staring at Kurosaki Ichigo. At this moment, he suddenly turned his head to look at Namikaze Kirito not far away. You gave them life, you shouldn't be in this world. Oh, Namikaze Kirito glanced at the white-haired and white-eyed boy with interest. Now it has been determined that the other party is the world order, but I don't know if it will directly restart the world. Once discovered, there is no need to pretend. Should I appear here, what you say doesn't matter, just. For a moment, everyone didn't react, and the sleepy boy suddenly appeared in front of Namikaze Kirito. The palm directly turned into a sharp blade and attacked. The speed has surpassed space and time. Even Namikaze Kirito didn't react, and subconsciously leaned back. No one saw, his original red pupils gradually turned into gold. Pooh! The sound of entering meat sounded. Captain Namikaze. Brother Namikaze. Damn it! Kurosaki Ichigo and Rukia Kuchiki cried out anxiously. They clearly saw the boy's palm penetrate Namikaze Kirito's chest. Really, this is a skeleton made for me by others, and you just broke it? Namikaze Kirito, dressed in black, appeared behind the boy. After saying this, the zanpakuto at his waist was unsheathed. He was really angry. Advertisement just now was the closest he was to death. The world order turned its hand into a blade, not just to kill Yike. If Rinnegan hadn't appeared at a critical moment and used the power of the world in his body to neutralize the opponent's attack, he might be able to wipe him out at that moment. He once again confirmed that the world order in front of him is definitely the strongest and most difficult one in the world. Under the sunlight, a gloomy light shines on the pitch-black blade, which is the power of the world. Only the power of the same level can kill or even behead the power of the world, because under the anger, Namikaze Kirito has no intention of keeping his hand. Clang! The white-haired boy turned his head, and turned his hand into a shield, directly blocking Namikaze Kirito's blade. Call! The airwave caused by the collision of the two spread directly, and Kurosaki Ichigo and Rukia Kuchiki hid behind Inoue Orihime's shield. Even so, they still had a surge of energy and blood. If it weren't for Namikaze Kirito and the world order trying their best to control it, the teaching building under their feet could be turned into fly ash. The shield of the white-haired boy showed a few cracks, and then it directly turned into fragments and disappeared. You shouldn't appear in this world, nor should you give them life. The white-haired boy looked at Namikaze Kirito without sadness or joy. Shouldn't it appear? That's right. I robbed you of your toy, which really made you a little angry. If that's the case, why don't you just restart it? Namikaze Kirito asked this question because he wanted to test it out and see if the world order would be broken. But to his surprise, the world order actually shook his head. Now is not the time to restart, and I haven't accumulated enough strength yet. Your appearance has caused chaos in the world. You are really honest. So I need to get rid of you and then restart, it will be fine. The white-haired boy disappeared again. With a bang, Namikaze Kirito was directly sent flying by him, and he followed closely behind. Brother Namikaze. Seeing this scene, Kurosaki Ichigo was extremely angry, with Zangetsu in his hand across his chest. Bankai. Boom. As a large number of Ryotsu gathered, Kurosaki Ichigo after Bankai also appeared in front of everyone. Chapter 402 Darkness, an enemy that even Namikaze Kirito is difficult to deal with. Kurosaki Ichigo doesn't think he can deal with it in his normal form. By the time of Kurosaki Ichigo Bankai, the two had reached mid-air. Rukia Kuchiki originally wanted to go, but considering that the enemy is unknown now, it is better for her to stand here and guard the world. As for the three people in the Urahara store, as early as the moment Namikaze Kirito fought against the white-haired boy, they had already come out of the store and hurried to the battlefield. At the same time, the masked army led by Hiriko Shinji also went there. With such a powerful Ryotsu appearing in this world, it is impossible for them to sit idly by. Above the sky, the white-haired boy and Namikaze Kirito, two figures, one black and one white, intertwined constantly. A large number of airwaves scattered in all directions, breaking up the clouds. Sure enough, you carry multiple powers of the world, this is your purpose. After feeling the power of the world on Namikaze Kirito, the white-haired boy's attack became a little bit fiercer. The power of the world and you will be mine sooner or later, Namikaze Kirito smiled. Really? Then you come and try it? The knife in the white-haired boy's hand suddenly became a little longer, and when he swung the knife out, slight cracks appeared in the surrounding space. Namikaze Kirito also swung his sword to block. Boom. With a loud roar, Namikaze Kirito flew upside down like a cannonball. This is the first time he has suffered a disadvantage in a frontal battle. On a piece of wasteland outside Karakura town, Namikaze Kirito crashed into several mountains before stopping. And the white-haired boy was not in a hurry to attack, he directly landed on the ground, his eyes that were also white were still calm. At this time, Urahara Kazuki and the Masked Legion and others had arrived, and they were stunned to see this scene. Go to hell. B***************. D. At this time, Kurosaki Ichigo fell from the sky, and the Zanpakuto in his hand directly slashed at the white-haired boy's head. Clang. Advertisement. The slender black blade stood directly on the white-haired boy's head, but it made a crisp sound without any scars. How is it possible? Backquote. Kurosaki Ichigo's face was full of surprise. If it is like Aizen, blocking it with a finger is still acceptable, but the white-haired boy in front of him doesn't even have the intention of resisting. At this moment, the white-haired boy seemed to sense something, and looked up at Kurosaki Ichigo. Your blade is not qualified to touch the world at all, let alone you were created by me, don't even think about attacking me. After saying that, the white-haired boy flicked the blade of Kurosaki Ichigo with his finger. As the blade groaned, the Ryotsu on Kurosaki Ichigo's body suddenly disappeared, and he also directly turned into a wandering spirit in white clothes, with all the power of Shinigami on his body gone. Varied. Before Kurosaki Ichigo could finish speaking, the white-haired boy played again, and the other party flew backwards. Seeing this scene, Urahara Kazuki rushed forward and hugged Kurosaki Ichigo. Did you seal the power of Shinigami in an instant? Who is this man? Kazuki, no problem, who the hell is that dangerous guy? Hiriko Shinji also stepped forward, he didn't look serious at this time, this white-haired boy gave him a more dangerous feeling than Aizen. I don't know, but if Kirito-kun can't stop him, he will probably be in trouble. Urahara Kazuki murmured softly. You know, the combat power displayed by Namikaze Kirito is obviously in the ranks of Aizen and the captain. Basically standing at the peak level of Shinigami, but such a strong person was also beaten away? It's just unbelievable. The guy who stole the power of the world, come out, I don't have much time, I have to kill you now. Facing the collapsed mountains, the white-haired boy said softly. Ka 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 ka. With the shaking of the gravel, Namikaze Kirito stood out from inside. At this time, his body was covered with a lot of dust, and the shirt on his chest was cut directly, but there is no visible part on the body. What scars? You want to kill me, but you want me to come out by myself, what a troublesome guy. Although there was still a smile on his face, Namikaze Kirito's pupils were full of killing intent. It was the first time that someone who made him so embarrassed appeared. Advertisement. I saw Namikaze Kirito holding the handle of the knife with both hands, and then billowing black mist emanated from his whole body and the knife body. The darkness covered the sky, and after a while, the sun in the sky was completely blocked, and Namikaze Kirito was like a hellish ghost in the darkness. The thick black mist was about to liquefy. Is this the real power of Kirito-kun? Urahara Kazuki felt the palpitating darkness, and even now, he has not figured out what the black fog is capable of. But just when observing with the naked eye, there is a feeling that the soul will be absorbed into it. The same is true for the masked army on the side. In the face of this powerful force, they feel the hope of defeating Aizen. This is the power of law? The white-haired boy showed a frown expression for the first time. Unlike Urahara Kazuki and others, he knows the goods. The dark fruit in Namikaze Kirito's body has undergone a metamorphosis as early as in the Hokage world, from the gravitational force of darkness to the power of the black hole law that destroys everything. This kind of power is also the power of the world, and even surpasses it, becoming the power of the universe. So it can pose a huge threat to him, and Namikaze Kirito smiled slightly. Hey, World Order, you can try my ability too. After finishing speaking, he slowly raised the knife, and then swung it down violently. Call. A giant ball of dark fog followed Namikaze Kirito's sword, beginning to rush towards Yufa. The black ball is no longer completely black, there are even some colorful rays of light in its center. Wherever the black ball passed, everything was swallowed and annihilated by chi. Flowers and trees, birds and animals, mountains and rivers, and even light were completely absorbed by it. And with the continuous absorption of all materials, the black ball is also constantly shrinking. It seems that although the volume is getting smaller and smaller, its energy is indeed becoming more and more terrifying. Urahara Kazuki and others in the distance felt a strong gravitational force. In an instant, Urahara Kazuki directly grabbed Kurosaki Ichigo. Now the latter is in the state of a wandering soul, without a trace of strength at all. If one is accidentally absorbed into that black ball, you know what will happen. Seeing this, the white-haired boy began to become unreal, as if he wanted to avoid the gravity of the black ball, but after a while, his body gradually solidified again. The illusory power is gone. In other words, now locked by the black ball, there is no way to avoid him. Chapter 403. Is it the real world order? Can't you hide? Then I won't hide. The white-haired boy stretched out a hand calmly, and the spiritual power between heaven and earth was continuously gathering in his palm. His body also bloomed with a white light, forming a sharp contrast with Namikaze Kirito. One black and one white, one for light and one for darkness. Finally, just when the black hole was about to approach the white-haired boy, he moved, and the white light in his hand slammed into the center of the black hole. The white energy was like sinking into the sea, without a single wave splashing in the black hole. Even so, the white-haired boy did not give up, and continued to increase the output of power, and a ferocious look appeared on his calm face. Seeing this scene, Namikaze Kirito had a cruel smile on his face, and his lips parted slightly. Mie. Gugu. The black hole suddenly began to shrink violently, the pupils of the white-haired boy constricted, and he could already feel the destructive power emanating from the black ball. He hurriedly hid to the side, but it was obviously too late. Cast the enchantment quickly. Urahara Kazuki yelled loudly. Simultaneously began to chant the enchantment. Tessai Tsukabishi reacted and began to chant too. This is modern society, and of course there is knowledge about the universe. Just seeing the color of the black sphere, Urahara Kazuki has been guessing what kind of substance it is. Seeing that the light was absorbed by 253, he finally understood, isn't this just a small black hole? It has gravity and has an aura of destruction. Although he has never boarded the universe for close observation, but he has learned about this aspect of knowledge. Seeing the black hole shrinking rapidly, Urahara Kazuki suddenly remembered a word, the Big Bang. Who knows what will happen after the black hole explodes? What if the planet is destroyed? But now it is obvious that it is too late to blame Namikaze Kirito, he can only quickly use countermeasures. Urahara Kazuki guessed partly right, but what he didn't guess right was the result. Although the final result of Namikaze Kirito's move is an explosion, it is not exaggerated outward, and outward will only disperse the force area. The contraction of this black hole is an explosion inward. This is the real law of annihilation. The white-haired boy couldn't dodge in time, and was directly affected. Advertisement: there was no deafening cracking sound, no collapse of high-rise buildings, and no huge fluctuations were even caused. But the ground where the black ball was located disappeared immediately, and a deep pit appeared on the ground. Seeing the edge, it was complete and smooth, as if there was such a big pit in nature. CJEG. The white-haired boy also disappeared among them. The darkness between heaven and earth dissipated, and clarity was restored again. Urahara Kazuki and others looked at the scene caused by the disappearance of the black hole in shock from a distance. This kind of power, it is estimated that they will disappear if they meet each other. Namikaze Kirito also inserted the knife into the sheath, and seemed to have confirmed that the opponent disappeared. At this moment, Yoruichi saw something sharply and shouted, "Kirito, be careful." I saw that the white-haired boy came behind Namikaze Kirito more than once. Half of his body had completely disappeared. It seemed that he was wiped out by the black hole, but the strange thing was that there was no blood at the interface, but white light instead. After all, it is the world order, and there is no real flesh and blood, so how can there be blood? At this time, he used the only remaining hand to go straight in. Namikaze Kirito turned his head quickly, with a crazy look on his face. I already guessed that UB*********** D didn't disappear. At the same time, he clenched his fist with his right hand and struck straight away. The fist was covered by a white halo. When the shock ability is activated, if dark fruit evolves to the law of annihilation, then the power of shock directly becomes the collapse. Ka. The atmosphere between the two cracked like glass. When the white-haired boy's hand was inserted into Namikaze Kirito's chest, that fist also hit the opponent's head hard. Puff. Blood splattered. Namikaze Kirito's chest bloomed with blood, while the white-haired boy's body was directly split open. Stealer, when the person who bears the destiny grows up again, I will appear again. At that time, I will completely destroy. Before the white-haired boy finished speaking, his whole body turned into pieces and disappeared into the air. And Namikaze Kirito also took a few steps back. Cough. A big mouthful of blood was coughed up and sprinkled on the ground. The blood directly caused flowers and plants to grow in the wasteland in an instant. This. B*******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************่**************************************************************************************$ $ $ $$$$$$$$$$$$$$$ $$ $$ $$ $$ $$ $$ $$ $$ $ $ $ $ $ $ $$$ $ $ $ $$ $ $$ $ $ $ The moment the white-haired boy disappeared, Kurosaki Ichigo got the power of Shinigami again. Seeing that Namikaze Kirito's body began to shake, a Shunpo came to his side to support him. Urahara Kazuki and others also rushed over. Kirito-kun. Urahara Kazuki looked at Namikaze Kirito with complicated eyes. If he had doubts about what Namikaze Kirito said before, there are other things above the Soul King. So now it is a complete hammer. The power used by the white-haired boy is obviously not Shinigami power or virtual power, or in other words, it is both Shinigami power and virtual power. White energy is all-encompassing. Judging from what the white-haired boy said just now, and the appearance of his disappearance, it is obvious that that is not the other party's history. If such a terrifying person reappears, I don't know if Namikaze Kirito can resist it. Moreover, the current Urahara Kazuki doesn't have any means in his mind to fight against the white-haired boy. Not even a direction. Even the origin is not clear, so how can we talk about confrontation? Yoruichi also stepped forward at this time, with a worried look on her beautiful face. She found that there was a big hole in Namikaze Kirito's chest. The blood hole was surrounded by white light, and it didn't mean to heal at all. Are you okay? Rest assured. Namikaze Kirito shook his head, and then a dark mist appeared on one hand, stroking the wound, and the darkness directly swallowed the white light. Not long after, the wound began to heal, visible to the naked eye. Seeing that Namikaze Kirito was really okay, Yoruichi was relieved. Kirito-kun, is that person the existence you said? Urahara Kazuki asked seriously. Yes and no, he is just one of the incarnations. From the fight just now, Namikaze Kirito has already perceived the identity of the opponent. It is true to say that it is the world order, but it is only a part of it. The world order in this world is obviously of the powerful type. The real world order should have been sleeping, otherwise, restarting the world should be a breeze. The white-haired boy also said that he doesn't have that ability now. That said, Namikaze Kirito is safe for now, but even so, can't really tell the truth. When people in this world know the existence of world order, it is estimated that the real world order will wake up. Chapter 404 The Existence of God. At that time, the toys, who discovered themselves had already understood the existence of their master, and even wanted to resist. If you don't restart the world, what are you waiting for? So Namikaze Kirito is not yet able to speak out about the world order. But according to what the white-haired boy said, the next time it comes, it will probably be the final battle. Hearing Namikaze Kirito's words, Urahara Kazuki nodded thoughtfully. From what the white-haired boy said to Kurosaki Ichigo just now, we can already have a lot of information. Now I just need to go back to my old lair and give an overview of the matter, and I should be able to make a big guess. Thinking of this, Urahara Kazuki stopped talking. On the other side, the members of the Masked Legion also caught up. It's the first time we met. Are you Namikaze Kirito? Hello, I'm Hiriko Shinji. I should be considered your senior? It doesn't count. Anyway, we are a group of free people now, you can understand it that way. As soon as Hiriko Shinji came up, introduced himself. I know you, but I didn't expect you to appear so soon. Namikaze Kirito smiled. Sure enough, as Kazuki said, he is a mysterious person. Hiriko Shinji looked at Namikaze Kirito and said meaningfully. After seeing Namikaze Kirito's powerful combat power just now, they have a little more confidence in Aizen. According to Urahara Kazuki, Namikaze Kirito didn't hit Kyoga Suigetsu, and the more ways to counter Aizen, the better. So Hiriko Shinji wants to have a good relationship with Namikaze Kirito. Ichigo, let me go, I'm fine. But, brother Namikaze. Kurosaki Ichigo hesitated to speak. But under the gaze of Namikaze Kirito, Kurosaki Ichigo let go of his hand. Such concern reminded Namikaze Kirito of his younger brother in the Hokage world, and Uzumaki Naruto didn't know how he was doing now. In a few days, it's almost time to go back. At the same time. Soul Society. In the captain's office, Mr. Yamamoto was watching the monitor. Advertisement Karakura Town, as Aizen's target, has been monitored. The important person Namikaze Kirito is also there, so how can Mr. Yamamoto feel relieved? So he also watched the battle just now thoroughly. Kyoraku Shunsui is also on the side. He has long been trained by Mr. Yamamoto as his heir. Of course, this kind of thing needs his participation. Old man, it seems that this world is more mysterious than imagined. What the white-haired boy said needs to be studied carefully. What do you think of Namikaze Kirito? Hearing the old man's question, Kyoraku Shunsui was taken aback for a moment, then shrugged and said, Captain Namikaze's words have always been such a mysterious existence, and they are similar to this white-haired boy. But even if you ask him, he probably won't say anything. Mr. Yamamoto nodded in disbelief, and then continued to ask, Then do you know what I mean by making him the captain of the 5th Division? If I'm not mistaken, old man, you're planning to place a bet on Captain Namikaze, isn't it true? That white-haired boy didn't use all his strength to get Namikaze Kirito injured just now. Chunshui, you should have seen it too, don't pretend to be in front of me, an old man. That white-haired boy didn't use his full strength. Did Namikaze Kirito use his full strength? Kyoraku Shunsui didn't speak, and seemed to be thinking about something. When Namikaze Kirito was in the skeleton, he was suddenly attacked by a white-haired boy. At that moment, the old man felt a coercion appearing on his body. That kind of coercion is definitely not a force in this world. When the white-haired boy attacked Namikaze Kirito, Rinnegan subconsciously emerged and blocked the white-haired boy's attack. Otherwise, the power of the world is the power that can straighten the soul. In the face of a life or death crisis, even if Namikaze Kirito cannot actively activate it, the power in his body will still directly come out to resist. It was also at that moment that Mr. Yamamoto sensed it. It seems that we want to please our Captain Namikaze. Kiraku Shunsui said helplessly. Mr. Yamamoto ignored Kiraku Shunsui's unscrupulous appearance, but still looked at the monitor, thinking about something. Hueco Mundo, king of the Void Knight Palace. Aizen also saw the fight just now. Urahara Kazuki and Soul Society have the means to see the picture of the world. Of course Aizen can also, he is also a scientific researcher, not to mention that he has talents in this field. Ask for flowers, silver, it seems that what Namikaze Kirito said is true. Aizen said with a smile while leaning on his chin with one hand. Advertisement, what a scary guy, Captain Namikaze is a monster just like you, Captain Aizen. Ichimaru Jin's tone was slightly exaggerated, but he, who has been squinting his eyes on weekdays, has already opened his eyes. In his cognition, there is no one in Aizen who can defeat him head-on, so he has this undercover identity, just to completely defeat Aizen, and then get back the soul of Matsumoto Rangaku. But after seeing today's battle, he remembered the bet that Aizen and Namikaze Kirito made before. There is a glimmer of hope in my mind. Yin, haven't you noticed that the power of that young man just now resembles something? Ichimaru Jin is also a smart person, just now he was attracted by Namikaze Kirito, now when Aizen said, a flash of inspiration flashed in his mind. It's Hogyoku. That's right, Hogyoku. Aizen nodded. Hogyoku was made by Urahara Kazuki. But even Urahara Kazuki couldn't control the power of Hogyoku. Hogyoku has far exceeded his ability, that is to say, the boy. And definitely not related to Urahara Kazuki. But the power of the two is so similar, why do you think? Ichimaru Jin didn't speak, he couldn't understand this at all. Why did a boy with such great power appear out of nowhere, and why is it so similar to Hogyoku? Namikaze Kirito, you are such a mysterious guy, have you gone further than me? Aizen thought about what Namikaze Kirito said earlier. Hogyoku itself is a product of miracles, even the maker cannot destroy it, and even has the ability to fulfill wishes. This ability is infinitely close to God. Although Shinigami are also called gods, they are far from being gods. A real god should be at the level of a spirit king. Thinking of this, Aizen took out Hogyoku and looked at it carefully before his eyes. It seems to be a coincidence, at this time, Hogyoku also flashed a dim light, as if responding to something. Is there an existence above the Spirit King? Corpse. Chapter 405 What happened to Soul Society, inside the Urahara store. Urahara Kazuki and Namikaze Kirito are sitting on the ground. 3 days have passed since the last incident. Today, Urahara Kazuki sorted out the general clues and called Namikaze Kirito over. Kirito-kun, where is that person or that existence hidden? And what do you mean by reboot? Urahara Kazuki carefully pondered every word that the white-haired boy said in his heart. But only the origin of the other party and the word restart he still can't understand. You know, the words of restarting the world sounded very scary to other people's ears. Why restart? Either it destroys everything directly, or it has something to do with the restart of time, but either way, Urahara Kazuki doesn't think it's a good thing. So he no longer cared about the 427 probing, and directly called Namikaze Kirito over, wanting to get a general understanding. Namikaze Kirito stretched out his finger and pointed to the ceiling. He should be there, or rather, everywhere. What a scary guy, isn't this a god? Urahara Kazuki didn't think Namikaze Kirito was joking. Everything that happened after the white-haired boy appeared showed that his identity was unusual. So even with this statement, Urahara Kazuki thinks there is nothing wrong with it. God, it should be considered, after all, they are all the owners of the world. Them. Urahara Kazuki noticed the plural words in Namikaze Kirito's mouth, such terrifying enemies, there are many more? If this is the case, you have to think about the next thing, even if you try your best to defeat Aizen, so what? Facing an enemy of that level, is there really a way to resist? Urahara Kazuki doubted himself for the first time. Captain Tilda. At this moment, the door of the store opened and Matsumoto Rangaku walked in, shaking the murder weapon. While walking, he called the captain with that tired voice. Alala, it looks like Kirito-kun won't be able to chat with me today. Seeing someone else come in, Urahara Kazuki immediately changed to that unscrupulous expression. Advertisement before determining the problem, he has always been wary of anyone. Rangaku, what's wrong with you? Namikaze Kirito was also a little surprised to see Matsumoto Rangaku appear here. After all, he, the captain of the 5th team, has already come to this world, and the vice-captain should have stayed in the team. If Matsumoto Rangaku, who is the vice-captain, appears here, something big must have happened to Soul Society. Captain, I finally found you, thanks to Rukia. Matsumoto Rangaku sat next to Namikaze Kirito. The delicate body was almost leaning against his arms, and I have to say that since the two had such an intimate contact, Matsumoto Rangaku became more and more presumptuous when facing Namikaze Kirito. Urahara Kazuki snickered. Namikaze Kirito said, what happened to the world? Hearing this, Matsumoto Rangaku sat up straight, and there was a trace of seriousness on his beautiful face. The jingling court was attacked, and the attackers were able to manipulate Zanpakuto. So now the Zanpakuto of all captains and team members have rebelled. This is really a wave of ups and downs. Hearing this, Urahara Kazuki also shrugged helplessly. Now that Hueco Mundo has Aizen, a so-called god has emerged in this world. Soul Society is even better, and someone who can manipulate Zanpakuto came directly. There is simply no time for reaction. Namikaze Kirito was thinking deeply. If it is someone who can manipulate Zanpakuto, it goes without saying that it must be the demon sword Muramasa. The ability is to materialize the sword spirit in Zanpakuto, and even change its mind. This ability is really troublesome for Shinigami, but for Namikaze Kirito, it doesn't matter at all. He doesn't think what kind of mutation will happen to his Zanpakuto. After all, his sword has no soul. But this, he will soon discover, is wrong. Rukia has returned to the Soul Society to carry out the mission, and our 5th squad is also on the mission to protect Jinglinting, so the captain asked me to call you back. It's clear that I'm going to have a vacation, but now I'm going back. I really know how to command people. Namikaze Kirito sighed. Ha 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 ha, that old man is indeed the best at commanding people. Come on, Kirito-kun. Urahara Kazuki showed a gloating expression. It doesn't matter, I'm just going to solve a small problem, but you, Kazuki, slowly feel the unknown pain, let you pretend to be deep here every day. For Urahara Kazuki's mouth attack, Namikaze Kirito must return it. The other party in the province was arrogant, and as expected, after hearing Namikaze Kirito's words, Urahara Kazuki directly changed from gloating at another's misfortune to bitter hatred. Let's go, let this guy who sings the harp feel the headache. Advertisement after all, Namikaze Kirito left with Matsumoto Rangaku. Soul Society. At this time, the jingling court was already full of flames, and there were the sounds of Shinigami shouting and wounded wailing everywhere. It can be seen that this incident has a great impact. Rukia Kuchiki was running fast on a roof, and then a man dressed as a samurai came over with a knife. 6-stick light prison. Just when she was showing despair, a calm voice came from the side. The samurai who attacked her was also restrained directly by Kido. Above the tower, the figure of Byakuya Kuchiki appeared. Rukia Kuchiki murmured, "Brother, go, don't make me say it a second time." After saying that, Byakuya Kuchiki drew out the knife from his waist, and rushed towards the two people on the roof not far away. One of them was pale and dressed in a white robe. He was obviously the mastermind of this incident, that is, Yaodao Muramasa. The other is Zanpakuto, Senbon Sakura of Byakuya Kuchiki. Clang! Byakuya Kuchiki's slash was directly blocked by Senbon Sakura. 0.92 people collided with swords in the air, and sparks flew everywhere. Just when Byakuya Kuchiki repelled Senbon Sakura with a sword, unexpectedly countless sakura petals appeared in front of his eyes. Slices of beautiful sakura flowers, but with infinite murderous intent. This move is so familiar to Byakuya Kuchiki. Before he had time to think about it, Byakuya Kuchiki cast Shunpo directly, intending to escape from the sea of flowers, but unexpectedly, the speed of the sea of flowers was really fast, and he was covered by the sea of flowers in just an instant. Rukia Kuchiki shouted anxiously, "Brother!" Boom! Huahai brought Byakuya Kuchiki directly smashed into the building not far away, making an ear-splitting roar. Seeing this, Renji took Rukia Kuchiki and left directly. Obviously, the two of them who are left now are no match for those people at all, and Zanpakuto can't be liberated now. Chapter 406. Soda no Shirayuki. Renji has already gone to his team to check the situation, and Rukia Kuchiki is also walking back to his team in a daze. Back at Soul Society, she was overwhelmed by successive blows. Zanpakuto all betrayed Shinigami, the big brother Byakuya Kuchiki who has always been strong in his heart, and was also confused by his own Zanpakuto, Nobumoto Sakura. I really don't know what will happen to the entire Soul Society in the future. At this moment, Rukia Kuchiki suddenly felt a chill. Looking up, I saw that the surrounding buildings were full of ice crystals, and several team members were frozen in their bodies. Not far away, a white-haired beauty who looked like a moon god was smiling, and with a wave of her sleeves, the Shinigami in front of her became ice sculptures. Stop! Rukia Kuchiki had already felt the familiar Ryatsu on the ice crystal, so while roaring, she put her hand on the handle of the knife. The moon-like woman is Zanpakuto of Rukia Kuchiki, Soda no Shirayuki, who is called the most beautiful Zanpakuto. Seeing his master rushing towards him at this time, the ice-blue beautiful eyes were full of deep meaning. Call out! Kicking off the ground with both feet, Rukia Kuchiki flew into the air and quickly came to Soda no Shirayuki. Stop it, Soda no Shirayuki, Rukia Kuchiki. Soda no Shirayuki looked at Rukia quietly, his cold tone was full of determination. You are not allowed to order me. What did you say? Because of the changes in the Soul Society, Yoruichi and Kurosaki Ichigo also came to the Soul Society. I saw Yoruichi looked at Kurosaki Ichigo with a serious face. Got it? If Zangetsu changes, you should retreat immediately. Hearing this, Kurosaki Ichigo touched the handle of the knife behind him with some confidence. Shin-Yue is fine. Zangetsu is indeed special, but that's for you. Seeing that Kurosaki Ichigo had already understood the seriousness of the matter, Yoruichi said again. I'm going to investigate the situation of the secret maneuver, you have to be more careful. Advertisement, new. Then goodbye. After all, Yoruichi turned into a phantom and disappeared in place. In terms of Shunpo, she is the best. Hurrying to the secret mobile where Sui Feng is, there was a hint of complaint on that beautiful face. Really, that little brat, didn't you know to wait for me? Also, he obviously set off before me, but in the end he was still waiting for me. Didn't show up, could it be that the cow is looking for a date? Yoruichi herself didn't realize that there was a hint of jealousy in her tone. On Soda no Shirayuki's side, looking at Rukia Kuchiki in front of her, there is no trace of the warmth of a partner in her beautiful eyes, but as cold and ruthless as 1,000 years of ice. I'm free from your bondage, I'm free, whatever I do, you have no right to stop me. Rukia Kuchiki did not lose her composure, but asked, really, then why do you want to hurt innocent people? I just act as I want. Soda no Shirayuki said. Of course, whoever wants to hinder me, no matter who it is, will not be forgiven. Honestly, I don't want to fight you, Rukia Kuchiki said softly, but... Swish. Before Rukia Kuchiki finished speaking, the figure of Soda no Shirayuki disappeared directly in place, and when he reappeared, he was already in front of the other party. It was too late to be surprised. Rukia Kuchiki dodged to avoid the attack of ice and snow. Then he pulled out the knife from his waist. Ling dance, Soda no Shirayuki. But an embarrassing scene appeared. I saw Rukia Kuchiki drew out the knife, without any blessing of ice and snow at all. Soda no Shirayuki is in front of her eyes, how can she liberate Zanpakuto? I can't Shikai. Rukia Kuchiki looked at his knife and murmured softly. How could it be Shikai? Because you don't have me anymore in your sword. So far, as the power of Zanpakuto, has been freely used by you. I asked you to do this. Besides, we don't know choice. Facing Soda no Shirayuki's resignation, Rukia Kuchiki asked back, you said you have no choice? A chill appeared, and the beautiful Zanpakuto appeared in Soda no Shirayuki's hands. But it will be different from now on. I will use the power for my own freedom. So far, you have always thought that I belong to your power, right? But this is wrong. In fact, you can't do anything. Advertisement, I didn't think it was my own power at all. Rukia Kuchiki retorted loudly. But it was clear that Soda no Shirayuki didn't want to hear Rukia Kuchiki's explanation anymore. First dance, Moon White. A circular light circle suddenly appeared under his feet. Rukia Kuchiki was very familiar with his own moves, and immediately jumped into the air to dodge. The circular aperture she was in just now also gushed out a large amount of cold air, and then formed an icicle. Moon White's frozen field? Rukia Kuchiki looked disbelieving in the sky. Things drawn into the circle with its blade should contain the whole world, shouldn't it? Swish. As Soda no Shirayuki swung his knife, another circle of light appeared, and Rukia Kuchiki could only dodge passively at this time. However, Soda no Shirayuki had already come behind her. He opened his mouth lightly, and a large amount of ice and snow appeared, directly knocking Rukia Kuchiki into the air, and fell to the ground, quite embarrassing. Rukia Kuchiki was half kneeling on the ground, with countless ice crystals already appearing on her body. Not just because of the cold, but also because of disbelief, her tone was trembling. Could it be that without you, I can't do anything? After she uttered this negative sentence, she stood up again and chanted softly. Everything, wings, what is named human beings, truth and temperance, a wall that knows no crime, only claws on it. The 33 seats of Hado. After the chanting, a large blue flame appeared in Rukia Kuchiki's hand, rushing towards Soda no Shirayuki. Boom! Blue flames light up the sky. But the flame didn't last long. An icicle stood at the place where Soda no Shirayuki was, and then it shattered directly. Soda no Shirayuki is revealed with an unscathed back. How is it possible? Soda no Shirayuki, you froze the blue fire pendant. Are you surprised? Soda no Shirayuki said calmly. I was really underestimated. I understand. Let me correct this misunderstanding. After all, Soda no Shirayuki launched his own offensive. Whether it's the chopping technique or the ice pick thrown casually, Rukia Kuchiki can only keep avoiding it. There is no strength to confront directly. Looking at Soda no Shirayuki who attacked him, his white hair fluttered in the wind, looking holy and noble. Chapter 407. Demon Saber Muramasa. It's really beautiful, worthy of being called the most beautiful Zanpakuto in the Soul Society. Rukia Kuchiki was also fascinated by her own Zanpakuto gesture. But she noticed Soda no Shirayuki's beautiful ice blue eyes, which contained deep hatred. Why do you hate me? Obviously I am you, and you are me. Rukia Kuchiki's mind conjures images of the time when Zanpakuto was liberated earlier. Aren't we always by our side? Did I, as you said, want to monopolize your power and put you in pain? And at this moment, Soda no Shirayuki appeared in front of Rukia Kuchiki again. In a hurry, the latter directly used the crossbar of the knife. Boom! A large amount of ice and snow drifted into the air. There was still no expression on Soda no Shirayuki's face. When you think about what you just did just now, Ryatsu will show a flaw. Rukia Kuchiki, who was on the field, kept panting heavily. Not only was her body covered with ice crystals, but she also suffered a lot of injuries. Even in the face of his master's miserable appearance, Soda no Shirayuki still has no so-called heartbreak. I saw her open her mouth lightly. Siwu, by Lien. Rukia Kuchiki's eyes widened. She no longer had the strength to dodge, and could only let the endless frost cover her. But at this moment, a familiar black figure appeared in front of her again. Black and red Ryatsu continued to emerge, and Soda no Shirayuki's attacks were all blocked. Guard. Seeing Kurosaki Ichigo appear, Rukia Kuchiki couldn't help being a little surprised, but now is not the time to reminisce. Kurosaki Ichigo charged directly at Soda no Shirayuki. One person and one knife immediately fought fiercely together. When facing Rukia Kuchiki, Soda no Shirayuki was in a crushing posture, but facing Bankai's Ichigo, she could not take advantage. The two fought inseparably for a while, and Rukia Kuchiki below is caught in deep self-blame. It turns out that what she always thought was the company of Soda no Shirayuki was fake, and as her Zanpakuto, Soda no Shirayuki actually hated her so much. Advertisement boom. At this moment, Kurosaki Ichigo didn't notice for a while, and let Soda no Shirayuki repel him with a breath of hoarfrost. Rukia Kuchiki seems to have made up her mind. Jumping in the air, he came directly in front of Soda no Shirayuki. 6-stick light prison hash. Bakudo in Kido, the 6 pillars of light directly hold Rukia Kuchiki and Soda no Shiryuki together. Soda no Shiryuki, I will give you back your freedom now. Rukia Kuchiki's tone was full of tenderness. She folded her hands together and countless spiritual powers began to gather. With a loud noise, an explosion occurred directly in the midair where Rukia Kuchiki and Soda no Shiryuki were located. Rukia Kuchiki blew herself up directly with spiritual power. Rukia, Kurosaki Ichigo regained his senses and rushed forward quickly, intending to find Rukia Kuchiki. At this moment, a powerful Ryotsu suddenly suppressed Kurosaki Ichigo. You guys are really exaggerating. Kurosaki Ichigo turned his head slowly and saw the figure of Demon Sword Muramasa. At this moment, Soda no Shiryuki was standing unscathed, and Rukia Kuchiki was missing. Who are you? Kurosaki Ichigo demanded. I'm Zanpakuto, Yaodao Village answered slowly. You said you were Zanpakuto? Kurosaki Ichigo looked disbelieving. Yaodao Village Masaru ignored him, but turned his head to look at Soda no Shiryuki. Soda no Shiryuki, leave this place to me, you should retreat first. Sorry. After Soda no Shiryuki apologized, the figure disappeared immediately. Etc. Now that Rukia Kuchiki was missing, Kurosaki Ichigo couldn't let Soda no Shiryuki just go away, and hurriedly shouted and chased after him. Where are you going? Kurosaki Ichigo. Yaodao Village is directly stopping Kurosaki Ichigo. How do you know my name? This kind of thing is fine anyway. Yaodao Muramasa still didn't answer what Kurosaki Ichigo meant, and continued on his own. My purpose is to liberate Zanpakuto from Shinigami's shackles. Advertisement, really? You are the one behind this time. Tell me, how to restore Rukia's Zanpakuto. There was a hint of anger in Yaodao Muramasa's eyes. Kurosaki Ichigo, what the hell is Zanpakuto? What? This sentence directly made Kurosaki Ichigo stunned. He may not have thought about this issue. What exactly is Zanpakuto? Seeing Kurosaki Ichigo stunned in place, Yadoshun said. Zanpakuto is another soul that sprouted from Shinigami's heart. The source of spiritual power is the same as Shinigami's, and it is always accompanied by Shinigami's soul. Shinigami exert power by finding the Zanpakuto power hidden in the soul, by knowing its name. And among the chosen few Shinigami, are able to materialize the avatar of Zanpakuto, and by making it subjugate, gain even greater power, reaching Bankai. Just like you and other captains. But coexisting with Shinigami is not the only way Zanpakuto exists. Hearing this, no matter how nervous Kurosaki Ichigo was, he felt that there was something in the other party's words, and asked quickly, what do you mean? That means Zanpakuto also has a consciousness of its own. You mean the consciousness of Zanpakuto? That's right. Yaodao Village nodded and continued. Zanpakuto is not a part of Shinigami, we are also a separate soul. From this perspective, we are equal to Shinigami. Don't you believe it? This is the arrogance of you Shinigami. How could such a thing happen? Kurosaki Ichigo muttered to himself. Because this is the truth, I exist, I can understand the consciousness of Zanpakuto, I can talk to its soul, and let like-minded souls manifest their reality, and let souls different from Shinigami appear in this world. Please. That's what empowers me. Why? Why is Zanpakuto responding to you? Kurosaki Ichigo roared. Because this is the will of Zanpakuto, who has been abused all the time. Yaodao Muramasa said calmly. Suddenly there was a voice behind him, and Kurosaki Ichigo looked back, only to see the dying Rukia Kuchiki not far behind him. Rukia Kuchiki also said with difficulty at this time, I never regarded Soda no Shiryuki as my subordinate. After saying this sentence, it seemed that all her strength had been exhausted. Rukia. Although Kurosaki Ichigo really wants to rush over to check on the other party's injuries, Yaodao Muramasa is on the side, and now he still has to figure out the matter. Faced with Rukia Kuchiki's words, Yaodao Kunjen is dismissive. This is just your one-sided opinion, now Soda no Shiryuki has answered my call. Chapter 408. Zanjetsu betrayed. Seeing that Rukia Kuchiki was still trying to get up, Yadoshunjun continued. Stop struggling, your mission is over. What do you mean? Rukia Kuchiki's consciousness was almost blurred, but she couldn't help asking after hearing the words of Yaodao Muramasa. I want to liberate all Zanpakuto. For this reason, Kurosaki Ichigo, it is necessary for you to come too. Rukia Kuchiki happens to be the best bait to lure you. Yaodao Village pointed to Rukia Kuchiki beside him and said. You do this deliberately. Kurosaki Ichigo understood the meaning of the other party in an instant, and kept making Soda no Shiryuki chase Rukia Kuchiki. Not only that, but even let the other party go many times. Just let him come to the rescue. At this moment, Yaodao Muramasa's eyes gradually became gloomy. Welcome to my world. Ichigo. The current Rukia Kuchiki is powerless and guilty, and it seems that she has become a stumbling block for Kurosaki Ichigo time and time again. It's okay, you can rest here, Kurosaki Ichigo relieved. Then he looked at Yaodao Muramasa not far away. Let's change places. After all, the figures of the two flashed at the same time and disappeared into the open space. Rukia Kuchiki finally couldn't hold on anymore and fainted. The injuries he suffered from self-explosion with spiritual power were not light at all. Call out. Kurosaki Ichigo and Yaodao Village are coming directly to a 930 building in Jinglingding. As soon as he appeared, Kurosaki Ichigo held the chop and went straight to the opponent's head. As soon as Yaodao Muramasa stretched out his hand, Zanpakuto with a purple handle appeared in his hand, directly resisting the attack. The two began to fight fiercely together, clang. Another loud bang, Kurosaki Ichigo temporarily repelled Demon Sword Muramasa, and black and red Ryotsu gushed out from his body. Crescent Sky rushes. Ka 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 ka. The black crescent will directly chop the ground into pieces, and attack Yaodao village with a deep ditch. Boom. When the black crescent dissipated, Kurosaki Ichigo's eyes widened. At some point, the Demon Sword village on the opposite side had already disappeared. The surrounding space also seemed to become distorted. Damn. Damn. Advertisement in desperation, Kurosaki Ichigo began to swing the knife indiscriminately. Of course, it was just useless effort. And the whole world began to spin, and I thought it was an illusion, but when the sky and the earth were turned upside down, Kurosaki Ichigo fell directly and fell hard on the ground. It's all real, it's useless. At this time, Yaodao Kunjang also appeared and walked in front of Kurosaki Ichigo, looking down at him. Boom. I saw Yaodao Muramasa stepped on Kurosaki Ichigo's wrist, and Zanpakuto also flew out directly. Then Demon Sword Village stretched out a hand full of slender nails, and placed it on Kurosaki Ichigo's chest. Listen to my voice, and open your heart as your instinct dictates. A large black and red Ryotsu appeared on Kurosaki Ichigo's body, and his whole body spun. Abandon fear, face the front squarely, move forward, never stop, shrink back and you will grow old, timid and you will die. After chanting a passage, Yoshitomura directly inserted his hand into Kurosaki Ichigo's chest. But the strange thing is that no blood flowed out, instead it was like entering another dimension. But the pain is there, Kurosaki Ichigo yelled out. It was a pain that went deep into the soul. Come, your name is, and. Yaodao village is pulling out his hand, with a large black and red Ryotsu. And Kurosaki Ichigo, who was already in the form of a Bankai, has also become an ordinary Shinigami domineering state. What happened? Kurosaki Ichigo lay on the ground, struggling to look forward. I saw Yaodao Muramasa in front of me, and there was another person beside me at some point. That person's long black hair flutters in the wind, wearing sunglasses, and of vicissitudes of face. Who could it be if it's not Uncle Zagetsu? Ichigo. Zangetsu called out Kurosaki Ichigo's name. Kurosaki Ichigo looked at Zangetsu, who suddenly appeared in front of him, and became a little dazed. Zangetsu. Why, would you before, CJEF, Kurosaki Ichigo finished speaking. Zangetsu rushed up with Zanpakuto in his hand. Before he could think about it, Kurosaki Ichigo picked up Zagetsu, who had recovered his sword form on the ground, and hurriedly blocked him. Clang. Advertisement. Zangetsu held the same Zanpakuto and collided with Kurosaki Ichigo's Zanpakuto. Uncle Zangetsu, what's going on here? Answer me quickly. Kurosaki Ichigo still looked like he didn't understand the situation. Zangetsu didn't speak, and the increased strength in his hands caused Kurosaki Ichigo's body to retreat continuously. Am I not of one mind with you? Constantly retreating, Kurosaki Ichigo became more and more angry, and directly pushed Zangetsu back. But before he could adjust his stance, Zangetsu appeared beside him, knocking him into the air with a knife and smashing into the wall beside him. Kurosaki Ichigo fell to the ground. A large amount of spiritual energy in his body disappeared and he was caught off guard by such a blow. Like Rukia Kuchiki before him, it's the end of the line. Yaodao village came over at this time, looked at Kurosaki Ichigo's near-death struggle, and said, "Can I still move? But it's over." Zangetsu also raised the knife in his hand at this time. Kurosaki Ichigo, who was lying on the ground, saw this scene and asked in disbelief, "Uncle, are you serious?" Crescent sky rushing. Swish, a blue crescent appeared, and Kurosaki Ichigo fell into a coma. At this time, the fourth team has fallen into a busy state. There has been a steady stream of wounded being sent over. At this time, Sister Wa was looking at the unconscious Captain Bacon, with treatment data written on her hand. At this moment, Yang Yin pushed the door open and walked in. "What's wrong, Yang Yin?" Sister Wa asked. Yang Yin was in a hurry, sweat was all over his forehead. "Captain, the second team is here to report." Afterwards, the matter was roughly narrated, and the vice-captain of the 12th Division, that is, the reformer Ni Yinming created by Kuretsuchi Miyuri, also came directly to the 4th Division to report the situation. Zanpakuto became a separate existence. Even Sister Wa couldn't help being confused by this situation. Yes. Ni Yinming nodded, and continued. This is the conclusion that Yuri-sama came to based on the investigation results of this phenomenon with his own body. If it was said by Kuretsuchi Miyuri from the 12th Division, then it should be fine. The two women on the side didn't notice that a gleam of light flashed in my sister's beautiful eyes. Not to mention others, if her Zan Soul Saber becomes concrete, it will be a big trouble. After all, when it comes to killing, even the captain who has killed countless people probably doesn't kill as many as she does. Chapter 409. I don't want to release the monster due to the long-term blood erosion. It is estimated that her Zanpakuto is as crazy and tyrannical as her original character. Coupled with her Zanpakuto's terrifying ability, if it really materializes, it will be a disaster for the people of Soul Society. And according to Nirvana's report, if Zanpakuto is concretized, the owner of Zanpakuto will not be able to liberate Zanpakuto again. Although Shinigami has 4 basic fighting styles. But make no mistake, Zanpakuto is top of the list. How much combat power can a Shinigami have without Zanpakuto? But not everyone has Kenpachi, and the captain, including her terrifying swordsmanship. On Zangetsu's side, seeing that Kurosaki Ichigo was unconscious, he planned to deliver a fatal blow. At this moment, Kurosaki Ichigo's body suddenly moved, and then he stood up in a posture that did not conform to the human body structure. Ha 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 ha. Kurosaki Ichigo looked up, and a black and white mask appeared on his face. False. When Kurosaki Ichigo was in crisis, the power of Hollow was finally released. I saw him laughing and rushing directly to Zangetsu, chopping away the Zanpakuto in his hand. Clang clang clang. In an instant, the two fought against each other dozens of times, but to the surprise of Muramasa, Zangetsu actually fell into a disadvantage. Isn't this guy Kurosaki Ichigo? That's right. Zangetsu nodded and continued, this is another soul inside him. The two fought all the way, and directly changed to a place farther away. Zangetsu slashed across, tearing a wound in Kurosaki Ichigo's chest. But immediately, the wound healed. High-speed regeneration. Zangetsu looked at Kurosaki Ichigo meaningfully. The current Kurosaki Ichigo is not so much a Shinigami, but a complete fiction, even possessing the ability of high-speed regeneration. With Hollow's Kurosaki Ichigo pinned by Zangetsu, Shu became more and more violent. A large amount of white matter poured out, gradually covering the whole body of Kurosaki Ichigo. Advertisement: the whole person no longer has the slightest appearance of Shinigami. The powerful Ryotsu exuded directly made Muramasa's eyes widen. This Ryotsu. Kurosaki Ichigo didn't wait for Zangetsu to respond, and swung his sword again. This time Zangetsu fell directly into the disadvantage. Not only that, Kurosaki Ichigo even reached out for the red Sero. High-speed regeneration, Sero. These powerful abilities seem to be innate. Seeing that Zangetsu was blown away by Sero, Yaodao village was going up from behind with a sword. But there was a scene that shocked him. One of his cuts cut Kurosaki Ichigo's back, but the wound was restored to its original state in less than a blink of an eye. For a while, Yaodao Kunjung didn't know how to deal with it. Click. At this moment, Kurosaki Ichigo squatted on the ground. A crack appeared in the white armor on his body. I won't give it to you. I won't give it to you. Ka ka ka. A large number of cracks appeared, and then Kurosaki Ichigo stretched out a hand, and suddenly took off the mask on his face. With Ryotsu dissipating, the weak Kurosaki Ichigo also appeared in front of Demon Sword Muramasa. I saw him stretch out a hand, whispering Zangetsu's name tremblingly. Just as he was about to fall to the ground, a dark figure suddenly appeared and grabbed him. Brother Namikaze, I'm sorry, I didn't. Kurosaki Ichigo saw the person coming, with a hint of apology in his tone. Really, you guy, just let the void in your body beat them and these people, and you have to pay attention to some principles. Namikaze Kirito sighed and said helplessly. Indeed, looking at the original Shinigami, when Kurosaki Ichigo is clearly hollow, he can solve many battles. But he insisted on keeping himself awake, and even said that he would not hand over his body to the other party. In fact, in the final analysis, emptiness is just a kind of power in the body, it is itself, so why give it to anyone? But if Kurosaki Ichigo really did that, he wouldn't be the main character. Who is he? When did he show up? Yaodoshun was looking at Namikaze Kirito in horror. He had never noticed when the man in front of him appeared there, and he couldn't even feel a trace of breath. Advertisement: Zangetsu, who was knocked into the air, also returned to the field at this time. He was taken aback when he saw Namikaze Kirito, and then a strange look appeared in his eyes under the sunglasses. He is Namikaze Kirito, the captain of the 5th Division. This man is very difficult to deal with. I suggest leaving first. Asterisk. Is Zanpakuto so bizarre too? Yaodoshun was looking at Namikaze Kirito, and seemed to feel the strength of Zanpakuto. His body suddenly trembled. Hearing this sentence, Zangetsu became slightly interested. Oh, aren't you able to visualize Zanpakuto? How about you visualize his Zanpakuto too? If Kurosaki Ichigo is still awake at this time, he can find that this uncle Zangetsu has a completely different expression from when he was in his body. Simply another person. Namikaze Kirito, who is familiar with the plot, knows that Zangetsu is just the incarnation of Yubak, or the power of the Quincy in Kurosaki Ichigo. All the while, Kurosaki Ichigo used Shinigami powers that were never really his. Those are just overflowing powers, and Zangetsu exists to suppress the Shinigami power in him. Until the Aizen chapter, Kurosaki Ichigo entered the deep world of his body, and the person he found was the Shinigami king who truly belonged to him. Yaodao village heard Zangetsu's words and frowned. Somewhat uncertainly, he said, although his Zanpakuto gave me responses, I didn't want them to materialize. Oh, why? Zangetsu asked puzzled. I'm afraid to release a real monster, and there is more than one soul in that knife. What? Zangetsu also glanced at Namikaze Kirito in surprise, thinking that he could cause some trouble for the other party, but he didn't expect his sister to Muramasa to say that. He knew how restrained the Demon Knife village next to Zanpakuto was. In addition to being able to visualize Zanpakuto, he is even able to amplify Zanpakuto's emotions. That said, it's not without reason that Soda no Shirayuki and those Zanpakuto oppose the Shinigami as soon as they appear. It's normal for partners who have worked together for many years to have some awkwardness, and it is not necessary to fight each other as soon as they appear. The reason why it is like this is the ability of Yaodao Muramasa to amplify the negative emotions of the soul in Zanpakuto without limit. Anyway, I don't want to release that monster unless it is absolutely necessary, Yaodao Kunjung said with a look of fear. Chapter 410 Zanpakuto of Namikaze Kirito. He had just communicated with Namikaze Kirito's Zanpakuto, and he hadn't waited for him to release the negative emotions of the other party. It was discovered that the other party did not need to be affected by the so-called negative emotions at all. Because that knife is full of monstrous resentment, if that's all it is, Yaodao village even feels the great terror of destroying everything in it. The feeling made him almost suffocate, so he was simply sure whether he could influence the opponent's Zanpakuto. If not, how could he determine friend and foe? If it is released, there is no way to end it, which is a big problem. Hey, you two guys, really, completely treat me as if I don't exist, so you are sure you can run? Seeing the two talking casually there, Namikaze Minato said helplessly. It seems that he was underestimated. Swish, at this, 763, time, Matsumoto Rangaku also arrived. She had been with Namikaze Minato to arrange the members of the 5th Division to deal with those Zanpakuto who were wreaking havoc in Seirei. As a result, Namikaze Minato said he had discovered the mastermind and then disappeared. Matsumoto Rangaku had a hard time finding this place. A pair of beautiful eyes looked at Namikaze Minato full of resentment. I said, Captain, can you wait for me? Didn't you follow here? Namikaze Minato said indifferently. Oh, that's him. B*********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** Rangaku saw Demon Sword Muramasa, his teeth itched with hatred. After being attacked by Demon Sword Village Jung, Zanpakuto was concretized. He was teased by his own Zanpakuto and was beaten severely. It is simply unbearable. Yaodao Muramasa ignored Matsumoto Rangaku, but whispered, "Zangetsu, are you sure to leave?" After hearing Zagetsu hum, he nodded, and then said, "Let's run separately, the person in front of us is a bit too strong, after we go back, then." Before he could finish speaking, a gentle breeze blew by. Yado Shunjung and Zagetsu each had an extra hand on their shoulders. Namikaze Kirito appeared next to the two of them, and said frivolously, "Didn't I say that? You really treat me like an idiot, which makes me very sad." Swish. Advertisement Yadoshun was making a decisive decision with Zangetsu, and the sword in his hand slashed towards the side. Bang bang. With two muffled sounds, Zangetsu and Yadao-kun were flying upside down, crashing into two stone pillars before stopping. "You can really bear it." Namikaze Kirito noticed it. The moment his fist hit Zangetsu just now, there was a terrifying aura emanating from his body, but it dissipated in a blink of an eye, and flew out backwards in conjunction with his fist. But it made Namikaze Kirito a little sad. Isn't this simply looking down on him, simply not paying attention to his attack? But think about it, the current Zangetsu, or Yuhabuk, is just an incarnation. Even if Namikaze Kirito kills it, it will not hurt. And it's unknown what that will do to Kurosaki Ichigo. Cough cough. Yadoshun was struggling to stand up, coughing up a mouthful of blood. How is this power possible? Hey, what is that Muramasa called? Listen to what you said just now. Can you visualize my Zanpakuto? Try it. Saying that, Namikaze Kirito threw Zanpakuto directly. The pitch-black Zanpakuto on him now is itself transformed by his power. It is impossible for the so-called soul to exist in it, but if there is, Namikaze Kirito wants Muramasa to visualize it. It's not for curiosity or anything, and I want to destroy this so-called soul. Namikaze Kirito wasn't used to having something unknown to himself in a weapon, even if it was a part of himself. Looking at the knife in front of him, Yadao village was stunned. Under normal circumstances, shouldn't Shinigami refuse? Or does the other party think that even without Zanpakuto, they can clean themselves up? Matsumoto Rangaku on the side was even more anxious. "Captain, how can you do this? If your Zanpakuto really goes berserk, Captain, you will be in trouble." Having met Namikaze Kirito's Matsumoto Rangaku a few times, I feel that if Namikaze Kirito's Zanpakuto is released, it will be a catastrophe for Soul Society. Do you want the captain to suppress it? Zangetsu, who was sitting on the ground not far away, also watched this scene with great interest. He didn't understand what it meant for a Shinigami to give his source of power to the enemy. Shinigami is different from Quincy. If there is no Zanpakuto, at the same level, Shinigami will definitely be crushed by Quincy. Advertisement only relying on Kido is definitely not enough. After all, not everyone's Kido can be used at will. What do you mean? Yado Muramasa didn't act rashly, but he didn't understand what Namikaze Kirito's actions meant to him. Did he think that after materializing Zanpakuto, the spirit would help him? Absolutely not. After the short exchange just now, Yadao Kunjung already understood that Zanpakuto is not a master who can be controlled at all. If it is really concretized, let alone Namikaze Kirito, even if he is of the same kind, it is estimated that he will directly attack if he is not pleasing to the eye. That's real darkness. But right now, there is no way to escape. From the fist just now, Yadao Muramasa can understand that he and the Shinigami in front of him are not at the same level at all. What's wrong? Isn't your ability to concretize Zanpakuto? This should be what you want to do the most. By the way, in your words, it is to give these Zanpakuto so-called freedom. Do it, what are you waiting for? Hearing Namikaze Kirito's teasing, Yadao Kunjung directly felt his heart skip a beat. Die and die. Anyway, after concretizing the opponent's Zanpakuto for a while, just run by yourself. In this case, keeping a Zanpakuto full of destructive and violent aura in the Soul Society will definitely cause chaos in the entire Soul Society. In that case, he will have 1.2 more chances to complete his plan. Namikaze Kirito, right, don't regret it. After all, a strange power appeared directly on Yadao Muramasa's body. Stretching out a hand, he aimed at the black Zanpakuto in front of him, and chanted the language from when he was beheaded and visualized again. Come, your name, destruction and collapse, boom. Two powerful Ryotsu directly penetrated the entire sky. Because Yaodao village was too close, it was immediately thrown away. The sky over the entire jingling court was suddenly covered with dark clouds, and thunder continued. The atmosphere is oppressive and solemn. When everyone looks at the sky, their hearts seem to be covered with a layer of darkness. It's really released. Captain, what should we do? Matsumoto Rangaku looked at the scene in front of him and murmured directly on the ground. Chapter 411. Are you going to kill us directly? Namikaze Kirito also felt the changes in his body at this time. The abilities of dark fruit and shock fruit are being absorbed continuously? In other words, Yaodao Marora succeeded him. It proves that there is indeed a so-called soul in his knife. It's just that he has come to the continuous time of the Shinigami world, and he has never noticed it. These two guys are hiding deep enough. No one noticed that when the Ryotsu in Namikaze Kirito leaked out greatly, his pupils also gradually change. The pupils that were red before have now begun to show a golden light, and the golden color is still widening. Is this really the power of a Zanpakuto? Zangetsu looked at the scene that seemed to destroy the world, and muttered to himself with a serious face. He didn't expect that after 1,000 years, there would be such an alternative in Shinigami. Why such a strong Zanpakuto had never appeared before. Could it be that the rising star in Shinigami has reached this level? Then you need to pay special attention when it's time for liquidation. He glanced at Muramasa, the demon sword who was overthrown by Ryotsu just now on 29. The only thought in Zangetsu's mind now is that the other party can really manipulate this Zanpakuto, so that the soul in it should kill Namikaze Kirito directly. Otherwise, on the day of liquidation, this Namikaze Kirito will definitely be a big trouble. It took an unknown amount of time for the sky to clear again. And on the ground in the center of the field, two figures also appeared in front of everyone. I saw those two people serving, one in black and the other in white. The man in black was wearing a mask and his whole body was wrapped in darkness. The other is a strong man in white short sleeves. The face of the burly man in white is somewhat similar to Namikaze Kirito, and the other person can't see clearly because he is wearing a mask, but between the eyebrows, it can still be seen that he is similar to Namikaze Kirito. Ha 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 ha. Has this uncle finally come out? It's really too difficult. I thought I would just keep my mouth shut and stay there forever. The burly man in white, or Honkai, was laughing crazily. The destruction in black is a pair of eyes fixed on Namikaze Kirito, that eyes seem to have monstrous hatred. Advertisement: the two of them were not affected by Yaodao Muramasa's brainwashing. In other words, if you have a lot of grievances, why do you need other people's guidance? Namikaze Kirito, you be ********* D. If I'm not mistaken, the purpose of you asking Yaodao village to release the two of us is to kill us? Honkai looked at Namikaze Kirito with hatred. What? Not only Matsumoto Rangaku, but even Yaodao Muramasa and Zangetsu on the side were horrified when they heard what Honkai said. Shinigami going to slaughter the souls in Zanpakuto? What kind of fantasy is that? No one would have trouble with his own soul, let alone, if the soul in it was slaughtered, what would Bankai do? At this time, many Shinigami also felt the movement just now and came here. Seeing what happened at the scene, some smart people have already discovered that something is wrong. Namikaze Kirito's waist was empty, and there were two strange men with Namikaze Kirito Ryotsu standing on the field. Needless to say, the two must be Zanpakuto. Isn't Captain Namikaze's Zanpakuto single-handed? How come there are two souls, and they are different? Kiraku Shunsui watched this scene with interest. In fact, such examples are not without. Abarai Renji's Zanpakuto has two souls. But people are tied together with chains. It doesn't matter if they are two souls, or they are whole. After all, there is still a connection. But the black and white man in front of him, apart from the similarity between his eyebrows and Namikaze Kirito, and the familiar Ryotsu on his body, the rest has nothing to do with it at all. You are really good at hiding. I have never noticed it. Should I say that you are cautious or timid? Even though Namikaze Kirito lost Zanpakuto, he walked up to Honkai and Destruction without a trace of fear, his tone full of jokes. Namikaze Kirito. How dare you say that? If the two of us show any signs of activity, you guys will destroy us on the spot, right? Honkai said fiercely. What you said is right, it's true. Namikaze Kirito nodded as if there was something serious, and didn't intend to hide himself at all. As soon as these words came out, the Shinigami who rushed over also crashed in place. They had the same thoughts as the three people present just now. Advertisement: Namikaze Kirito doesn't seem very smart. Why do you want to deal with the soul inside the knife? Didn't you hear the aggrieved tone of that collapsed voice? Yoruichi also came with Sui Feng. Hearing this, he sighed for a while. I thought Kazuki was already a lunatic who kept reinventing his own Zanpakuto. Kill your own Zanpakuto soul? Although his mouth is full of disgust, Yoruichi's beautiful eyes have been staying on Namikaze Kirito since he came here. Yang Yin looked at his captain suspiciously, and asked, Captain, if Captain Namikaze destroys the souls in Zanpakuto, can he still liberate Zanpakuto? Sister Wa didn't speak, but shook her head firmly. Zanpakuto has no soul, so what about Bankai? Not Bankai Zanpakutos, there is only Zaraki Kenpachi, that self-repressing power at present. He became the captain by relying on brute force, but no matter how you look at it, Namikaze Kirito also looks like that kind of person at 880. When he was fighting the captain, although Namikaze Kirito didn't say. But the people around felt that Namikaze Kirito had definitely liberated Zanpakuto. Otherwise, how can we be on par with the captain? Doesn't he need to liberate Zanpakuto? Or is he just that strong? Sister Wa was taken aback by her inner thoughts. Indeed, Liberation Zanpakuto generally have liberation language. It seems that he has never seen Namikaze Kirito sing any liberation language, and has always used his abilities wantonly. At this moment, Ruin, who had been taciturn all this time, finally stood up. Namikaze Kirito, now that you have lost our power and your other powers are useless, this is the best chance to kill you. I will make you the nourishment of darkness. Ha 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 ha, my uncle has suffered so many grievances, of course I will kill him. I said destruction, you are not allowed to rob me. Honkai laughed heroically. Only Namikaze Kirito was speechless. If so, Zanpakuto is part of the Shinigami soul. That is to say, these two goods are part of his hidden personality? Do you have two like this? And in front of so many people, this is simply a public execution. Chapter 412. Collapse. At this moment, Ruin and Honkai seemed to feel Namikaze Kirito's disgusted eyes. Both of them glared at him, and the hot-tempered Honkai even said directly, "Hey, B****************. D. What are you looking at there? If you don't agree, come here and challenge yourself." Because both of them are part of the soul of Namikaze Kirito, they speak in a somewhat modern style. Really? Namikaze Kirito shook his head. He should have sewed the mouths of the two together the first time they spoke, it was too embarrassing. At this time, Sister Wa also stood beside Namikaze Kirito and said softly, "Let's leave first, and lose Zanpakuto, even you." The sharp-eared Honkai heard Sister Hua's words. A look of ferocity suddenly appeared on his face, and then he kicked hard with one foot. Boom! The ground collapsed directly, and he rushed over with this force. One fist was surrounded by a white halo. Shock power. Honkai is the embodiment of shock fruit, and the destruction that has not yet acted on the other side is the embodiment of dark fruit. Feeling the familiar power, the corners of Namikaze Kirito's mouth curled up. The right fist also greeted him. There was even time to push Sister Wa away. He planned to try how strong the other party was. Finally, the two fists collided together. Accompanied by a loud noise, the surrounding people were directly blown away, even the ground. In the middle of the air where the two were fisting each other, the atmosphere had already begun to crack. The power of shock fruit is terrifying, as expected. Feeling the pain in his hand, Namikaze Kirito nodded thoughtfully. In order to ensure the integrity of his arm, he directly used armament haki, but even so, he could feel a trace of the power of the law of collapse. It can be seen that Honkai has completely inherited the power of shock fruit. Ha 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 ha, Namikaze Kirito, you have today too. My uncle has finally arrived. I will smash you. A trace of cruelty flashed across Honkai's face, directly increasing the output of power. Ka 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 ka. The cracks in the atmosphere widened again, and the buildings and stone pillars in the distance behind Namikaze Kirito all collapsed, and the chilling Ryotsu was revealed at this moment. Advertisement. The village not far away was watching this scene in shock, although he knew that he had released two monsters. But I didn't expect these two monsters to be so strong. Fortunately, my ability is the embodiment of Zanpakuto. If I change it to other monsters, I probably won't have the chance to confront Namikaze Kirito head-on. In just an instant, you will be completely destroyed, right? The eyes under Zangetsu's sunglasses were even more rounded. Although he is just a clone now, his knowledge has not decreased. The power used by Honkai is clearly superior to all Zanpakuto, even Ryujin Jaka, not to mention destructive power. There is a clear gap in terms of power level. What kind of power is this? After so many years of development, Shinigami has bred many monsters. It seems that the plan needs to be carefully considered. In the arena, Honkai was not discouraged when he saw that Namikaze Kirito couldn't do anything. The other fist also wrapped the white circle of light and punched out violently. Die. Namikaze Kirito. I saw that his two fists were like machine guns, and they hit the past quickly. Namikaze Kirito turned his fists into palms without any haste, catching the opponent's fists continuously. Bang 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 bang. Although all of them were picked up, Lan's power was raging wildly all around. The people around immediately found a safe place to watch the battle. They didn't want to be implicated in it for no apparent reason. Captain Namikaze seems to be very strong even without Zanpakuto. Kiraku Shunsui said with a serious face, as if he didn't care about the crisis of Soul Society at all. Yoruichi and Sui Feng also looked at Namikaze Kirito with complicated eyes. Among the four basic fighting styles of Shinigami, Tessai Tsukabishi is good at Kido, and Zanpakuto is the captain in Urahara Kazuki. When it comes to white hits and Shunpo, it means that the two of them have reached a level that ordinary Shinigami cannot achieve. Seeing and feeling the shocking power released by Honkai, the two of them didn't have the confidence to catch the fist so easily. Little ghost, how many secrets do you have? Yoruichi couldn't help but sigh. After having an intimate relationship with Namikaze Kirito, her mentality also changed. She always wanted to see Namikaze Kirito clearly, but as she got to know him better, she found that the man in front of her was like a fog. Even a little understanding can't be done. At this time, Namikaze Kirito and Honkai are still fighting fiercely. The surrounding buildings have been shattered by the impact. Right on the ground it was a mess. Ha 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 ha, you are indeed my master, but I won't let you be so arrogant. Advertisement. After all, Bang Wai stood on the spot to accumulate energy, and then pulled his hands suddenly in the air. Because of the excessive force, the blue veins on his muscles burst out. What? What kind of power is this? Everyone suddenly realized that the whole world seemed to be turned upside down, and they could only use their spiritual power to stand in midair to avoid becoming embarrassing. Namikaze Kirito's figure also tilted briefly, and at this moment, Hokage came directly in front of him. The two fists hit straight out. This time, the power of the shock has not yet been sent out, and the surrounding atmosphere began to collapse, and a murderous intent flashed in the eyes of the collapse. He just wants to kill with one hit. A shock fruit with the power of law can kill even the world order, and Namikaze Kirito is no exception. At this moment of crisis, Namikaze Kirito's blood-red eyes began to turn golden. Boom! This loud noise directly resounded through the entire Soul Society. Ka. The atmosphere completely collapsed, and even the space turbulence could be seen. Destroyer in the distance said softly, "From Li Zhao's. What a fool, but that's good. Namikaze Kirito can be eliminated without much effort." Brat. Team leader. Yoruichi and Matsumoto Rangaku shouted anxiously at the same time. They could also feel what kind of apocalypse it was. If it hit Namikaze Kirito all of a sudden, the consequences would be unimaginable. In midair, there was a sinister smile on Honka's face. He felt that he had succeeded, but suddenly, a golden light appeared in his eyes. What? A sense of crisis hit, and Honkai retreated directly. Just as he retreated, a golden sharp blade slashed across, and the mountain not far away was cut off by Lanyao. Everyone was stunned by this sudden scene. I saw a large piece of golden light appearing on Namikaze Kirito in midair, and a golden skull frame was slowly taking shape. Even the skeleton frame is constantly adding flesh and armor.